Carnevale is grant manager and financial advisor. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated, 400 Southbridge Street in Auburn, Massachusetts, 1-800-657-9126. A member of FINRA SIPC and are not deposits, not insured by FDIC or any governmental agency, not guaranteed by Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank, and subject to risk, may lose value. Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank is not affiliated with Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated. The information contained in this report does not purport to be a complete description of the securities markets or developments referred to in the material. The information has been obtained from sources considered to be reliable, but we do not guarantee that the foregoing material is accurate or complete. Any information is not a complete summary or statement of all available data necessary for making an investment decision and does not constitute a recommendation. Any opinions are those of Michael Carnevale and not necessarily those of RJFS or Raymond James. Expressions of opinion are as of this date and are subject to change. Hi everybody, it's another Conversations With, and I'm Dick Vaughn, and as you heard with me is Michael Carnevale, and I guess we're finally getting there.
We can finally say it.
Yeah.
30,000.
Yeah. And I was looking back a little while ago, and it was March 20th. We were at 16.
Yeah, oh, it's been a fastest recovery in history.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the little chart, and it goes from, I think we started the year at 26.8, and then boom, we went to 16, but then it comes right back.
Yeah. Made an all-time high in the month of November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so once again, everybody who hung in there.
Everybody who hung in there, you know, I mean, since 1950, November historically is the best month of the year, and it wasn't just the best month of this year, it was the best month since January 1987.
Wow.
Dow was up 11.8%.
Wow.
In a month.
In a month, yeah.
Forget about a year.
Yeah, and then you know, even now, you know, it's just around 30,000.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Yeah, I mean, you look at everything that's happened so far in the 11 months of this year, and if you said on January 1st what was going to happen, what would your guess be for the Dow? And somebody said it'd be up 5% for the year, you'd say it's impossible.
Impossible.
But that's where we are today.
And that's where it's going to end
As
up.
we begin December.
Give and take you know, but I mean, and you know, the other thing was that during the campaign they were saying if Biden wins, the market will crash.
Yep.
And
it had a massive rally.
Yeah.
After he got won the election.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I think he names Janet Yellen his Secretary of the Treasury, and they loved her.
And they loved her. I mean, that's, you know, if you get Janet Yellen as head of the Secretary of Treasury, and Jerome Powell stays as Federal Reserve President Chairman until at least 2022. I mean, those two people have been right in the battle of what's been going on the last few years. So I mean, I don't think you could get two better people.
No, and you get someone like that who was right, by the way.
Oh, yeah, they both were.
They were right.
Yeah.
And now you got somebody like that. You know, how do you not think the outlook is good?
Well, it's better than it could have been, I think. I mean, you know, there was talk, there were these fears that they were going to nominate a lot of other people who would have been less positive for the market, and it never came to pass. And the interesting thing is, you know, 4 years ago, there was a group of people who said, oh, watch, the market's going to crash, got to get out because Trump's getting in.
Yeah.
This year, you had the group of people who said, oh, the market's going to crash, you got to get out because Trump didn't get in.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be one or the other. It can't be both.
Both.
And they're going to appear to be wrong both times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you and I can go back to when it was 8,000.
Right.
And look at where we are today.
6,500 in March of 09.
Yeah.
February of 09. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there was because I've been looking at Facebook, and the interesting thing is there was a thing on there the other day. The two best presidents in the last so many years, Obama and Clinton.
Yeah.
Financially, Obama was there when it crashed and brought it right back.
Yeah.
And it was they're the only two presidents who left office with a surplus.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Because there was a big, Republicans say, oh, now you watch.
Right.
Democrats, oh,
Deficits and-
all they do is spend. All they do is spend.
Right.
Those are the only two presidents in the last 20 years that left office with a surplus.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they did, you know, so it's all political mumbo jumbo.
It is.
You know.
And that's
So-
the thing you got to try to sort of
Well,
avoid.
if nothing else,
Or get
Michael,
trapped.
one of the things we do, and you do, I shouldn't say we talk facts here.
Right. Right. Yeah. You really have to look at that.
Here they are, folks.
Yeah. You really have to.
This is the facts.
Yeah.
You know.
You really have to.
Yep.
And you got to remove as much of emotions as you can. You know, it's amazing the amount of time people spend on the president this, the president that. As we know, the president can't do anything. It's Congress that does everything.
The funny part is, I can vividly remember when I used to drive one of our governors. And it was a great experience, and he was a great friend of mine. And I used to drive him crazy because he would be riding along, and he'd say, I'm gonna. And I'd say, Governor, you're not gonna do anything. You don't even have a vote. You better get 30 senators and 200 guys in the House to support you, or that's going nowhere.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's true.
And it's the same thing with the president.
President, he doesn't have a vote.
He can't do anything by
No,
himself.
can't. Hasn't got a vote.
Right. And so but it's amazing the amount of people will hang on that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, it's unfortunate because you know they let emotions take control.
Well, look at emotions. That's the biggest problem we have in this country.
That's true.
Is emotions.
That's
I mean,
true.
look at the people who you know, couldn't wait to see what happened to the Patriots because Brady's gone.
Right.
And guess who's struggling more than we are?
Well, almost as much.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah. Right.
It ain't the same.
No.
You know?
No.
And now, at least Belichick did his work quietly at team meetings.
Right. Right.
And you begin to appreciate Belichick, even though the media doesn't like him,
Right.
with his typical answers.
Right.
You know, and yeah, okay, well, yeah, we're on to Cincinnati. You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't get into it. Where this coach he's got now,
Does. Yeah.
point blank,
Yeah.
he missed 4 passes.
Yeah.
You know, he ran the wrong pattern,
Yeah.
threw it in the wrong place.
Yeah.
You know, and that's got to sting.
Well, there's some talk that maybe he's not going to be there after this year. They'll
No,
have a
he
new
won't.
coach.
He won't hang around. No.
Yeah. They'll have a new coach.
Yeah, well, it was an article today. Do you think Belichick will bring him back? You know.
I mean, stranger things have happened,
Well,
right? But
you know, at this point in his career,
yeah,
it's over.
I think the egos would prevent that.
Yeah.
On both
Oh,
sides.
both sides. You know.
You know.
Well, and then I think from Belichick's standpoint, he's not the quarterback he once was.
No. There's been a deterioration certainly over the
so
last couple of
going
years.
to bring a 44-year-old guy back
Right.
when you got a 26-year-old.
Right.
You know, that
Right.
you can teach.
Right.
So.
Right.
But what do we got?
Well, we take a look at, you know, interest rates have crept up a little bit as the economy's gotten better, but nothing dramatic. The technical indicators, obviously you would suspect with the Dow at 30,000, they have weakened tremendously. Well, you look at the New York Stock Exchange 200-day moving average. A month ago it was at 74. Today it's at 87. That definitely leads to, you know, almost 90% of stocks above their average price for the past 200 trading days. The volatility index a month ago was 28. It's 21 today. Lower is worse because that means there's less fear. And then the stochastic oscillator, which talks about price movement in a short period of time. A month ago was 65%. It's at 82%. Historically, anything over 80 signals the market might be a little high priced. So all the technical indicators would say it's nice that the Dow's at 30,000, but it may not go a lot higher. Doesn't mean it's going to go down. It just means it might be more difficult because, as with everything, you know,
Yes,
prices have moved to one side again.
Yeah.
You know, but we have to enjoy with what we
Well, you know,
we have.
and there's another side of that all. You know, you read about some of these big companies that are struggling.
Right.
I mean, Disney laying people off left and right.
They laid 32,000
Yeah,
people off.
ExxonMobil is struggling.
Yeah.
Macy's. I mean, all the major retailers,
Retailers are in trouble.
are really hurting.
Yeah.
You know, these malls, you know, are really struggling. You know,
Absolutely.
And, I mean, you know, even go down to Rentham, which traditionally does well. Well, they didn't open at midnight. They opened at 6 in the morning.
Okay, yeah.
You know, because the problem they have is you can only have so many people in the store at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, and that slows down the cash register,
Oh, it does. Oh, definitely.
you know, and so they can't do the amount of business in one day that they normally would have done. When you've got 14 people in the store and 22 standing outside trying to get in,
Yeah.
waiting for you to leave.
Waiting for you to leave.
You
And
know.
and that discourages some people from even
Oh,
going. Right?
Well, they don't bother.
Yeah, so forget it. We're
Well,
not gonna-
but I mean, so it's backing up. That's going to be the real issue.
Yeah, yeah. But we definitely have to enjoy this while we have it,
Oh,
because
it's a great
we've been
ride.
through a tremendous
It's a great ride.
time period.
And then the other good thing this year is a lot of the people who are over 70 and a half don't have to take the money this year.
Right.
So they can just leave it in there to roll, which is another good positive thing.
Well, they can save some taxes.
That's right, save tax money,
Yeah.
you know, but it also, you know, it's money to reinvest.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's a good thing. Of course, we know we had the election in the month of November. Biden won. And as you had mentioned in our last program, since World War II, when a Democrat's in the White House, the market seems to do better than when a Republican is in the White House. So that's a positive. The interesting thing was, over the 6 days after the election, the Dow went up 10%. Now that's only happened, I have to get my figures straight here, that's only happened 10 times in history. Wow. And 1 year later, the average return was up 20%. So that's an indicator that maybe, you know, the next year is not going to be as bad as
Anybody thinks it's going to be.
possibly.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Interest rates, the Federal Reserve met, and as did the Bank of England, both decided to do nothing. So interest rates are still low, which is good for the stock market. Federal Reserve President of Boston, Eric Rosengreen, spoke this month, and he has
He's
said,
a naysayer, isn't he?
he has been. He has said that, you know, in order to keep this recovery going, we're going to need another stimulus package, and we're going to need to keep interest rates low.
Oh, well, there's no question that the pressure is on the Congress, big time, to come up with something. Because, I mean, people, when you see the lines of people waiting for food,
Yeah.
you know, you say, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
and McConnell's been the one that's been stonewalling it.
Yeah.
But how long can he hold out, you
Right.
know, before his own people start turning on him?
Right. And that's been the sort of the hidden item about what's happened this year. You know, we talk about how great the stock market is, and
Yeah.
you know, hey, we're working every day. We didn't miss a paycheck. But there's a whole group of people who, no fault of their own, are unemployed, missed paychecks. Yeah, hey, it's great that the Dow is at 30,000, but I had to get out to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So it's really been a two-tiered system here. Some people have really done well, but there's a lot of people who really have done very badly.
Yeah.
And something has to be done, I think, to help those people.
Well, I think it's, well, the one thing I saw earlier today is that Pelosi and Mnuchin and McConnell are now talking.
Well, you know, the interesting thing, I think, the good thing about all of this is, I think with Biden there, Democrats and Republicans are going to talk. I think a lot of Republicans were afraid of Trump,
Oh,
so they didn't say anything. But
No.
with him out of the picture, maybe the two groups can get together
well,
and
see,
do something.
the good news is that in Biden's situation, he's rubbed elbows with those guys for 30 years. He was in the Senate for 30 years with all of them. So one of the things they all said about him
was he was great at working with people to get things accomplished. So
That's what we need.
And if he has to call them into the White House or take a ride up to the Hill and say, let's go, you
Yeah.
know, then he's got to do it.
Right. Whereas the other one would not do
Oh,
that.
he would, no.
You know.
Democrats were no good. They were
Right.
just terrible people.
Right.
Terrible people.
And that was a problem. Interesting thing happened on November 27th, 78 years ago. A son was born to Catherine and Joseph. That individual became the president, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Everything has happened. Every change has happened this year in the month of November.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a lot of optimism. As we said, he's come out with his economic team, led by Janet Yellen. I mean, couldn't have had a better pick. At least from my standpoint.
Yeah. He, of all the people he could have picked.
Yep.
You know, and then that she would do it even.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
But it's hard for a woman of her stature to be the first woman ever to be treasurer to say no.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't want to be that.
Right.
You know, and so to his good fortune, she's on board for him.
And she was the first one to lead the Federal
Well,
Reserve too.
I think the other thing that I'm seeing, which has been interesting, is how women are coming out of the woodwork
Yeah.
because of Kamala Harris.
Right.
They're excited, they're enthusiastic, you know,
Right.
and there's no question that 4 years from now he's going to be 82 years old.
Right.
He's not going to run again.
Most likely not.
He's not going to run again.
Right.
And she's going to have the opportunity to be the first woman president of the United States.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are jumping up and down.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I think he was very smart, he didn't raid the Senate.
Right.
He left the Democratic senators right where they are.
Right.
Because he needs them more there
Right.
than he does in his cabinet.
Correct.
You know, and I think a lot of people were disappointed that Liz Warren didn't get something. But he needs her more there
Right.
than he does, you know, as secretary of whatever.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
Yeah, I think, and she would have not been from a Wall Street standpoint, she would not have been the right person.
No, they, Wall Street, they don't like her.
for Treasury.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely not. Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, became the world's second richest person in the month of November. He passed out Bill Gates.
Oh, wow.
Don't feel too bad, right? Because Bill Gates is still worth about 125 billion.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
forget 125
Well,
billion.
you know,
you
you
can't even
start-
comprehend a million.
Well, you know,
125 million.
you start to, I don't think he's got any kids.
No.
And here's a guy that's worth $128 billion.
Yeah.
What's he going to do with it?
What's he going to do with it?
He can't
all?
spend it.
No. Whether he turns it into foundation work like
Yeah.
the Gates have done.
Well, he does. I mean, he does
you
a
know,
lot of it,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But even so, it's and then our good friend from Amazon.
Jeff Bezos, he's the richest.
Yeah.
And you know, it's amazing, you know, those three companies, right? Microsoft, Tesla, and Amazon. I mean, you say to yourself, if you only knew the revolutionary benefit that those companies would have. But at the time,
They were crazy.
they were crazy people.
People call them nuts.
Yeah.
When Tesla said you're going to come out with a new car. Look,
Yeah.
Chrysler's not making it. Ford's struggling. You're going to
Absolutely.
bring out a new car.
Absolutely. And the funny thing about it, the story I always like to tell is Apple.
Oh, yeah.
You could not buy Apple computer stock in Massachusetts when it came out because the Secretary of State wouldn't allow it to trade here because he said it was too risky.
Yeah.
So, but if you only knew, wait a minute, the personal computer.
Yeah.
But you have to, I mean, and it's frustrating when you think about these
Oh, yeah.
things, right? But I'm convinced you have to have something in you that 99.9% of the people don't have to understand that.
You know what it comes down to? I had a talk. I used to carry a program when we had the radio station and he was my partner in the station, Barry Armstrong. He's Armstrong Advisory. And I was talking to him, and he said an interesting thing. He said, the people who do that have to have money that's discretionary. You, Dick, couldn't do that. You couldn't, you're not in a position to throw 10 grand at an Apple computer on the hope that it might make it.
Yeah.
Because you can't afford to lose 10 grand.
Right.
But the guy that's got 300,000, 10 grand to him is nothing. And those are the guys that made it.
But in addition to that, you have to be able to say, oh no, you don't understand. Everybody's going to have one of these things in 20 years, and they're going to be cheap, and you're going to have one in your home.
Yeah.
And
you
got to understand that.
I
difficult.
fought that computer for as long as I could. Now I can't live without it. I wake up in the morning, I have to check my email. Anybody get a hold of me? What's going on? I check the news. I hardly watch in fact, I just called up Charter and cut my television. I dropped 281 stations, and I brought it from $150 to 98.
Yep.
Because they only watch Channel 5
There you go.
or Channel 7 if the game is on NBC.
Well, it's funny you talk about technology. I can remember just getting out of college with my first job, right? And the branch manager of the investment company said, we got a meeting at 4:15. The market closed at 4. We got a meeting at 4:15. Instructions are, this person who was the back office lady is going to show us how to work a fax machine.
Yeah.
Actually, he called it a facsimile machine.
Yeah, facsimile. Yeah.
And
no one uses them anymore.
And no one uses them anymore.
They're gone.
They're gone. Right. But if you only knew the tech, you had to understand the technology.
If you knew you'd go to the grocery store and 17 people would be walking down the aisle.
Correct.
Talking on the phone.
Correct.
I mean, I remember telling somebody, I don't need one of those.
Yeah.
I said, for 70 years, I ran radio. One time I had 12 radio stations that I was overseeing. And I said, nobody ever had a trouble getting a hold of me.
Right.
I would call my office, I go to a phone booth, put a dime in, and they give me all my messages.
Yeah.
And then I'd get back at 3 o'clock. I always came back off the road at 3, especially, some days later, when I called at 2, you got 22 messages. Okay, I'll be back. So I'd go back at 3, sit at my desk, and call everybody back.
Yeah.
And I said, never had a problem.
Right.
And I said, I used to make a phone call 10 in the morning, noontime, and 2. 30 cents every day. Call the station. What do you got?
Yeah.
This guy called, that guy. Okay, I'll see him now. Not anymore. And
No.
I remember when I was up in Vermont, I had the first cellular phone. It was mounted in the car, and it had a little curly antenna that was up on my roof, and it was like a phone. It was like a phone, and the back of the phone had the numbers on it, and it was in a holder, and it had to have it wired into the car for electricity, and I mean, people thought, oh, you got a phone,
Yeah.
you know, oh,
Yeah.
we had it, the first one at the radio station.
Yeah.
I had it put in the car, and we had one in the van. I had one put in the van.
Yeah.
So when it was traveling, they could call in accidents or anything. They could call right in and do reports.
Yeah.
And we thought that was, whoa. But you had to stand by the car because it was on a cord.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
couldn't leave.
Couldn't leave.
No.
But there's there's the difference between us and Bill Gates. Bill Gates quit Harvard because of the personal computer. He was so convinced this was the future. We would have got the degree from Harvard.
Of course.
So you got to be wired a certain way. And
Well, look at Zuckerberg.
same thing.
20 years old kid,
Right.
you know, and what he's done with an idea,
Right. Right.
you know, and you see and you say, wow, you know, and you know, I thought I was a genius because I could come up with great promotions when I had my radio stations. I mean, we had a promotion, dinner for two, anywhere in the world you want to go. We had over 4,000 people register. The station made 80,000. We sold it. Had to go into the stores to sign your name, and then we were 97.1 on the dial. So we'd call your name, Michael Carnevale. You could pull your name out of one of the stores boxes, and you had 9 minutes and 71 seconds to call us back and tell us where you'd like to go. And then we had a big drawing, and it was, what a promotion! Wow, whoa, man, what a great thing!
Yeah.
And you thought you were a genius.
Genius, yeah.
Because you did 80 grand of business.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you hear these guys.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about visionaries.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I have a thing that says, a visionary is seeing things that other people do not see, and having the courage to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll never forget the day I was at a seminar. In fact, I spoke was at a radio station meeting, the annual meeting called RAB, Radio Advertising Bureau, and we had an annual meeting. We had all kinds of speakers. Well, I spoke on small markets, and the big speaker was a guy named Dan, can't think of his last name, president of Coca-Cola. And after the meeting, I said, hey, I want to go sit down and want to chat. Sure, Dick. So he and I sat down, and we're talking, and I said, you're a genius. What do you mean? I said, you're not kidding anybody. You know how long it takes to make 3 million cans of Coca-Cola? Just the cans? And he started to laugh. I said, you planned that whole thing. When he brought out the new Coke,
Okay.
and then 3 weeks later he brings back Coke because it wasn't good, and that's because Pepsi was catching him. And I said, you're a genius. He said, how do you? I said, you had an old whole. You know how long it takes just to design the can, then they fill 3 million cans a day in Atlanta.
Okay.
So to do that, you'd have to have the cans ready.
Right.
You couldn't bring a product back out that fast unless you planned it. And he started to laugh. He put his hands in his pocket, and he pulled out a whole bunch of dice, and he gave me 2. And he says, I got them home. He says, see those? Some days, Dick, you got to be willing to roll the dice. He said, I could have made the biggest mistake and put Coke out of business.
Yeah.
But he said, I rolled the dice and I was right.
And not many
And he
people would
says,
do that.
and Pepsi-Cola will never catch us.
Right.
Never.
Right. Right.
And he says, and I made sure that the new Coke was not as good as the old Coke. I made sure it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So
He says, but we needed something
created
to jumpstart the company because we were going flat. And he said,
Yeah.
but he said, you got to be, I never forget it.
Yeah.
He said, you got to be willing to roll those dice.
Right. And most people are not.
No, and that's Jobs, and that's Gates,
Yeah.
and that's Bezos.
Yeah.
Whoever thought you could have a company that sold everything,
No. No.
and then have your own transportation division?
Right.
You know,
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
What do you mean, you're going to buy something and not try it on? Oh, yeah, because you can return it for free.
Yeah,
Well, then how can they make money?
yeah.
Because you'll end up buying 2 of them instead of 1
Yeah.
or whatnot.
Oh, yeah. It's
No, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Well, we take a look at the economic stuff, those 4 items that you had mentioned at the beginning of the program. Inflation for October, consumer inflation was unchanged. Producer inflation was up 0.3%. The Federal Reserve's target for inflation is 2% annualized. Right now, consumer inflation is at 1.2%, and producer inflation is at 0.5%. So there's no inflation. So there's no reason that they're going to have to raise interest rates to slow down
Mortgages are down to
prices.
2.5.
Yep, all-time lows.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Leading economic indicators, those are the 10 items that kind of give a snapshot of the economy. They've been weakening since the pandemic began, since the initial recovery from the pandemic about 4 or 5 months ago. For October, they were up 0.7%. It was the 5th monthly decline or unchanged reading. So recovery is slowing.
Yeah.
That means you're not going to be able to raise interest rates there. You got jobless claims. Fewer and fewer people are losing their jobs. The number actually came out today as we're doing the show for the week, and it was the lowest number of layoffs since the pandemic began.
Yep.
712,000 people lost their jobs in the past week. That's still higher than the pre-pandemic all-time high, which was 20,000 less than that back in '82.
Yeah.
So again, although less people are losing their jobs, historically it's still a very high number.
Oh, yeah.
How are you going to raise interest rates? Something like that, right? And then the employment report. How many people found jobs? Month of October, 638,000 people found a new job during that month. That was the lowest number since the recovery began.
Wow.
So again, with those four economic numbers, none of them point to the ability to raise interest rates. And one of the biggest things that is, one of the big positives for stock market is low interest rates, because there's no competition. You know, if I could give you a 5% CD, a lot of people take money out of the market and get
Yeah.
the 5%. You want a 0.5% CD? Well, I'll leave it. I think the market can do better.
I mean, even if what's the market going to go up this year? Maybe 3 or 4% for
Right.
the year.
Right.
Well, you can't get that
No, you
anywhere
can't.
else.
You can't. And that's because, amongst other things, but one of the key factors is low interest rates.
Yeah.
Low interest rates are a big driver for stock prices.
And I'm going to tell you, you want a 2019 brand new car?
No.
You want a 2020 brand? They're giving them away.
Giving them away.
Begging you to take them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was in to have some oil change in one of my cars, and the guy, you know, they're now, the minute you go in there, there's a salesman waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the minute he sees your car is 2 years old. Mr. Bond, have you seen the new Mercedes such and such? Yeah, I did. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we got a great deal on it. I said, my car's only got 40,000 miles.
Yeah.
I'm okay, you know. Oh, but yeah, you can't believe these deals. And he's
Yeah.
right.
No, that's true.
I mean,
That's
they're,
true.
they're running deals where they lease a car for $350 a month, and they'll pay the first 2 months of the lease. So you have 34 payments instead of 36, and then they'll tell you, whatever your car is, they'll give you 1,000 more on a trade-in, because they can sell your car quicker than they can sell a new one.
And there's a lot of them at 0% now.
Oh yeah, giving them away.
Yep.
Giving them away. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
Yep.
is. Take a look at December, last month of the year. We know November historically is the best month. December is historically the second best month. It's gone up about 75% of the time. The last, since 2013, the month has alternated between up and down. So if that trend continues, this December 2020 is going to be a down month. Is it? Well, we did have we had the best November ever.
Ever.
So even if we do have it down, we're still going to come out okay.
Let's just, for the sake of a chuckle, say we end up going out on the 31st of December at 30,104, just for a number.
Yeah.
How is that bad?
No, no, it isn't.
How is that a down month?
It is not.
You know,
It is not.
It may only be up a few since November.
Yeah.
But we hit 30,000.
And we survived all this,
All the breaking news.
all the breaking news. Yep,
We're done.
we have.
Yep. So
It's amazing.
So Santa Claus is on his way.
Supposedly, it hasn't been stopped yet.
No, we'll see what happens. Michael, once again, thanks very much.
Thank you.
It was a great program and great to see you.
Same here.
There you are, folks. That's another Conversations With.